best rap albums of 2025. Paste Magazine. As the year comes to an end, we are wading deep into list, and we know we're wading deep into list season around here. We are fully engaged in list making nonsense. Now that we've talked about the best album songs and debuts and EPs, they've done a lot of lists over there at Paste. It's time to get even more granular and pay tribute to a few genres before the holiday. Today, we've assembled a comprehensive list of our favorite rap albums released in the last 12 months. That includes another banner year for Backwoods Studios. Backwoods in the opening paragraph. Shout out to that. A career best effort from Earl Sweatshirt. 2 instant rage classics. That's the stuff for the youngins. 2 and releases from always dependable names like Aesop Rock, Little Simz, Clipping, and more. This year also saw the return of 2 all-time great groups, De La Soul and Clipse. Being a hip-hop fan is pretty fun right now. Glad Pace is having fun. It seems like a lot of people on the internet are not having fun being a rap fan. Here's Pace's official ranking of the best rap albums of 2025. Yeah, they got me right there in the key art. They got Neighborhood Gods Unlimited prominently positioned right here. You gotta love that. 25, Aesop Rock, Black Hole Superette. When Aesop Rock is acting sardonic, he's at his best on Unbelievable Shenanigans, my favorite song on the album. The final song, he telegraphs flow in conversational poetry. People be like, wow, you're such a hypocrite. And I'm like, you can't be this completely fucking stupid. I hope you suffer horribly. Like, I'm not even a violent person, which makes me a double hypocrite. Rock excavates the selectiveness of memory. It's interesting with the memory cherry picks and what it pardons and reckons with trauma's place in transformation. We're nothing if not silver linings stuffed into compartments. He dissects the inner workings of his own complications, rapping nonchalantly over choppy rhythm samples, clipped symphonies, and psychedelic vocal pieces. Hani El Khatib closes the song and album with my favorite image of the year, memory waiting on the edge of the sun, burning in the shape of what that I've become. Black Hole Superette with appearances from Open Mike Eagle on So Be It, Armand Hammer, Tintin Wins, Lupe Fiasco. Charlie Horse elevates Aesop Rock even further into the rap pantheon. The dude kills it on his own, but when his friends step up to the mic, you're always witnessing lyrical contrast anchor into excellence. No tours, no interviews, nothing. Rock lays it down on his own terms. Yep, no tours. And from speaking to him, it sounds like he really may never tour again. I didn't realize he didn't do any interviews either. And I often wonder about that. I know his albums do well, obviously. If I were one of the executives at Rhymesayers, I wonder if I wouldn't constantly think about how much more units they would sell if he toured. It'd be like an astronomical growth in album sales if he toured. Now I wonder if they stay awake at night sometimes thinking about what might have been. But I also didn't know he didn't do interviews. And I'm like curious if that's even true. I feel like I saw an interview, or I saw Rhymesayers around the time this album released post excerpts from something that looked like an interview, because that's where I saw it most recently validated that he's probably not going to tour anymore. IG Q&As. So that's an interview. That's 25. One of our favorite albums around here too. Black Hole Superette. Sean Double A, the Big Handsome. 24. Tyler the Creator, Don't Tap the Glass. Released on a Monday after some weekend teasing. Tyler's 9th studio album is his most unpredictable effort in a decade. Its genre fluidity is more obvious than Chromacopia or Igor. As Tyler fiddles with house and techno music, tossing in some rap asides and synth pop bona fides for good measure. I still do not remember if I've heard this album or not. I'm going to look at when it was released, because if it was released while I was on tour, then I didn't hear it. It came out July 21st. So I believe I was on tour. I believe I just started the Neighborhood Gods Unlimited tour, so I don't think I've heard this album. Which seems like it seems like something I should rectify at some point. It's funny because I remember listening to Chromacopia so intensely that I'd almost assumed that I'd heard this one too. But I did. We did listen. But was it after tour? Cause didn't tour start? Okay, now I gotta look. Now I gotta look at my own. Wait a minute. Tour break. Oh, I went back and played it. Is that what happened? It's so weird if I don't remember streaming it and I don't remember the songs from it. That's so interesting. Oh, maybe that makes sense. Yeah, if it was if we played it on a Friday, that might be why I don't remember it, because Thursdays are rap studio nights and I always come in with a pressed juice brain. Like today. Anyway, 24 is Tyler. 23, they have as De La Soul the package, but that is not the name of the album. The name of the album is Cabin in the Sky. I don't like that this is not changed. I believe this list has been out a few days now, and gosh, I would love it if they got that title right. Now, there were some songs, or it may even been something to do with this album, that De La Soul was calling the package earlier this year, but that is not what this was. This album is called Cabin in the Sky, and I've gone back to a few songs off of this now. This I clearly remember us listening to on stream. And I found when I go back to the songs that I liked on it, I have a minor and intense at the same time emotional experience with the songs that I really like on this album. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up the list of them real quick so I can tell you what those are. So is it just Don't Push Me? Don't Push Me is emotional to me. No, also Patty Cake. Don't Push Me, Patty Cake, and then Run It Back is just a banger. But Patty Cake and Don't Push Me make me emotional. So like, hella mission accomplished. 22, Conway, You Can't Kill God with Bullets. And if I'm not mistaken, this album like just came out like a week ago. Palermo and Slant Face Killer might be the most underrated 1-2 punch this decade. Conway the Machine, Pride of the East Coast, is finally seeing himself as a god. Wow. 13 years after surviving gunshots to his head, neck, and shoulder. The title of his new album is apt. You Can't Kill God with Bullets is another excellent entry into the rap pantheon. One of Conway's best co-conspirators, Rock Marciano, Who Kid, G Herbo, Kendricks, I don't know who that is, Justice League, hops on Lightning Above the Adriatic Sea production. That was a weird sentence. Conway pushes a Timbaland beat. Conway over Timbaland sounds nuts. Also, I didn't know Timbaland was actually still making beats. I thought he was just making AI ambiguous Asian female robot artists is what I thought he was doing now. Conductor Williams guides diamonds into coke rap excellence. Storytelling is a 10 on Career Best I Never Sleep. I like Conway too. I like all of Griselda. But I think I like them best all together. I like those songs where it's Conway, Gunn, and Benny together. I do think this album is very new. So I haven't got a chance to hear it yet. 21, Zora Belladonna. I've never heard of this person. Do we know Zora? Do people know Zora in the chat? Let me know if you know who Zora is and I'm just sleeping. Side 1 of Belladonna is in all caps white side. What? Is in all caps. While side 2 exists in lowercase, matching the fluidity of the album's climax and subsequent rest. Whoa. Love Letters to My Stink is the title of a song on here. And that's the sort of thing that'll get me to listen. That's the sort of thing that'll get me to listen. Love Letters to My Stink. Bare Bones Pyramid of Verses where Zora can flex her flow in a no-frills cadence. Turn Me Out pumps record scratches into the air while Maya Thornton drops a singing performance that wouldn't sound out of place on a crunk R&B interlude. Love Letters to My Stink. The Prince guitar that defined Z1 isn't totally absent either. You can hear it on the Ballad of Belladonna as it bridges the album's halves, and Zora even loops her chords into a mutated sample on Midnight Madness. She has a song called Sick Sex. These titles. You know I'm a sucker for titles. Features guest vocals from social media names like Jamie Paris and the great one, and the arrangement calls to mind the rhythm of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I'm going to have to put this on my list of things to check out. Paste Magazine has sold me with this description, number 21, and also the title, Love Letters to My Stink. Wow. 20 is Navy Blue, The Sword and the Soaring. I haven't heard it yet. I know Child Actor has some production on here, so I've been meaning to check it, but I haven't heard it yet. Oh, when he's not skateboarding or modeling. Sage Elsesser makes music under the banner of Navy Blue. Between him and Mike, rap has been in good hands for a minute now. His last record, Memoirs in Armor, was a favorite of mine in 2024. His new record, The Sword and the Soaring, lands the same. Produced by Elsesser's guiding light and force, Child Actor. Wow, that's a lofty words. That's a wonderful, wonderful compliment to say about our friend Child Actor. Orchard is one of the best rap efforts of the year, arriving just as the autumn trees are readying their bareness for winter. The song is, as Navy Blue puts it, connected through soul and roots with expansiveness that resembles the infinite source. It sounds like he is high as a kite writing about these damn songs. Nebulas of jazz pianos are unwound by looping snare and cymbal vibration. I'll tell you this, most of these descriptions make me want to listen to an album. This description's actually turning me off of it, and that's only because all these words sound pretentious. But that could just be the writer, sir. The writer person. Could be the writer. I don't know. He just sounds like he likes it a lot. I shouldn't let that stop me, and I won't let it stop me. Freaking Child Actors got hella beats on here, so I should check it out regardless. So it's going on my list for sure. Preservation and Gabe Nandez. Shout out to Preservation. Shout out to Gabe Nandez. Shout out to Backwoods. Backwoods put out records from Billy Woods and Armand Hammer this year, but that's no reason to sleep on Sortilege. I don't know how to say that word. The latest from Gabe Nandez. He met beatmaker Preservation while assisting Woods with Aethiops in 2022 and bonded over a shared francophone ancestry. Their debut link-up is geographical, generational, and revolutionary. Verses cut bluntly. Beats never overwhelm the language. This is Nandez's show, but he spreads the wealth. Benjamin Booker. What up, Benjamin Booker? We played his album last year that Kenny Siegel did. It was great. Reunites with Armand Hammer on Mondo Kane while Nandez performs a bilingual duet with Zay Nakoma and Pagani Ngoko on Nam de Guerre. With production by Preservation, Sortilege is a powerful document with both eyes open. It's a record up on heritage, figured resoundingly with the linchpin of the New York rap underground. This will go. I mean, I meant to check this anyway. This definitely came out when I was on the road. I think when I was on the road with Fancygram, this came out. So I meant to go back to it, but never got a chance to. The album is very Ka-esque, says Urkel Modi, which is another reason to check it out. And this review was written by the same person who wrote the last one. I don't know why this one's so flowery, and this one's just this one's straight ahead and talking me into it. Interesting how reviews go. 18, Dead Channel Sky. From our friends Clipping. I'll be on the road with them in February. As a longtime Clipping fan, the experimental rap trio cyberpunk opus Dead Channel Sky was absolutely one of my most anticipated records of 2025. You know what? It wasn't the writer that sounded like he was high as a kite in that other review. It was the writer putting quotes from Navy Blue talking about the work himself, where Navy Blue sounded high as a kite. And maybe that's sort of what was putting me off the thing, too. Very happy to announce that it did not disappoint. The group's first release from their phenomenal doubleheader horror records of 2019 and 2020, Dead Channel Sky, is a whopping 20 tracks, each one riddled with innumerable hip-hop references and allusions to foundational cyberpunk text, all spat out with ease and fervor by frontman David Diggs, and tracks like Dodger, Polaroids, and Closer ask what happened. Further cement Diggs is one of the foremost rap lyricists of our time. You know, and of course the lyrics are impeccable, but what I'm always in awe of is Diggs's craft, his delivery, the intricacies of it, the percussiveness of it, and the sharp elocution. He makes some of the most difficult things to do on a microphone sound so easy. So I'm always wanting him to get the flowers for that in particular. It's just an awesome level of skill in all of David's raps. 17, Jane Remover, which is still one of the best artist names I've ever heard in my life, is Jane Remover. I just love the idea of making of having your artist last name be Remover. And so it's like you're an artist, like you could only assume that this is Jane, and you're providing the Jane and removing the Jane, which is like a Mobius level naming convention, and I'm here for it. I guess I thought Jane Remover was hyperpop. I think we checked out a Jane Remover song in on the Pitchfork list of best songs of the year. I think we checked a Jane Remover song. It was that, if I remember correctly, it was like hyperpop. She raps too. The intervals of stillness that balmed senses designated have vanished, and Jane Remover stacks diss upon diss, vaunting through rap templates that have been submerged beneath mayhemic, static-walled ciphers. There's two of me I'm cloning out. They ball on Twice Removed. Dead man flexing, show some ass now. That's a hell of a line. Dead man flexing, show some ass now. Wow. Jane may rap like their shit is whack, but the poetry they siphon into experimental skin vibrates through the sensory overload. I taste all the past, present, and future too. I'd give you all the stars along a tightrope. Thank God become a part of you. Okay. Sounds very David Lynch. Revenge Seekers is the name of the album, which is also a powerful title. It's like spelled like horrorcore rap group style. Revenge Seekers. Not sure if I'll end up checking this out, but this is the first time I've ever heard of them in the context of a rapper. So for that reason alone, I'll be keeping my eyes peeled going forward. Is this one categorized as rage? Mr. Chlorice, they rap like their shit is whack. It sounds like that would be like they're dissing themselves in the verses, potentially. That's where my mind went when I read that phrase. 16, Clipse. Oh, this is off. This has got to be low for Clipse. They got to be somewhere mad at Paste, because they've been getting the number ones everywhere. So this is probably the lowest ranking Clipse has received this list making season. Double digits, even closer to 25 than 1. That's interesting. This is probably, let me try to find a way to say this that is additive to the conversation. This is the most lauded rap album in quite some time that I cannot find a way to care about personally. Remember, all personally. And when I shoot like that, I can't do anything except expect for people to shoot at my work in similar ways, and that's fine. It's all on the table. But I just never found my way into the album. But that's when we played a snippet of it the other day. I was saying like just the sheer expense of it sometimes is a barrier for me. It's a barrier for me. Like there's a rawness that appeals to me about the rap music that I like that is scrubbed out of projects like that. And I think, and this is what I'll say too. I really like Pusha T solo albums. Like the last few Pusha T solo albums, I really like a lot. For some reason, this one I had a hard time finding my way into. I feel like there's a little bit of the raw maintained in the Pusha T solo stuff that isn't allowed to. That wasn't allowed to exist on this record. Shay. Now this would be one of the rage joints. Number 15 is Shay, Rest in Bass. This would be for the children's. A lot of one bar loops, a lot of auto tune. I asked my son about this album after we saw it on another rap list, and he was saying that it's good, but it's overhyped, which is what I suspected might be the case. Because I think that where this level of the new rap underground is, there's only a few artists that are really being signed and invested in by labels that know what they're doing. And those artists' projects are being positioned to step ahead of everybody else's. So this is 10K Projects, which I believe is that under Universal? I know that's what Mike is on too. Mike is on 10K. 10K knows what they're doing. So Shay is an artist to look out for, I think. Redveil Sankofa. I still don't know if I've heard any Redveil in a while. Did we hear Redveil on the Pitchfork Best Songs of 2025 list? Every December, the 2025 album released too late for year-end list. Last year was Cameron Winter. This year is Redveil, a Maryland rapper. Who's been rummaging around in the underground since 2019's Bittersweet Cry, which he released at age 15. I feel like we heard something. Sankofa, like that makes my ears perk up because of what the symbology of Sankofa means in Adinkra symbols and sort of West African lore. Sankofa is a heavy, that's a heavy concept. So if he's talking Sankofa shit, that makes me definitely want to lean in and check it out. I don't think 10K is Mike's own label. I think 10K, like I want to say 10K is associated with some people who used to be at Def Jam. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think 10K is it like has a legacy of like Def Jam, Universal, if I'm not mistaken. But it is certainly not Mike's own label himself. Okay. Hearing Sankofa play out is like sitting with the gospel history and time, a dream deferred, a sticky and quick, while the Smino assisted Brown Sugar summons the spirit of D'Angelo and soulful fragments. Sankofa is a coming of age album for a rapper forced to grow up in a 2020 world. We have to figure out an organized way to go back and fuck with some of these albums. Maybe next week I'll try to organize a list of things that I've meant to go back to. And maybe in the Discord, if there's some stuff that we want to make sure we get to, we can make a little list there or something. Next week would be a good time to sort of go through albums that we heard that we liked and also check out ones that we didn't get to. Even if it's just sampling a couple of songs. 13, speaking of Mike, Showbiz. I like this album a ton. As I was saying last time we talked about it, I found it very inspiring in a way that I wasn't prepared for when we pressed play on it. There's something about his approach to making beats that made me go make beats. And he put out this album, and he put out an album with Tony Seltzer this year, and they're both great. I do like Showbiz a bit more. I found myself coming back to songs from that one a little more, but there's some dope shit on the Tony Seltzer album too. Foreign Fridays, we are being rated. Shout out to the Raiders. We are currently going through Paste Magazine's 25 Best Rap Albums of 2025. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come hang out, pull up a chair. There's so many chairs. We have so many chairs here in Morning Gang headquarters. Come hang out. 13 is Mike's Showbiz, which is a fantastic project from earlier this year. Number 12, Jim Legxacy, Black British Music. We heard some Jim Legxacy either on Discord Mountain or when we were going through the Pitchfork Best Songs of 2025 list. And I don't remember exactly how the song sounded that we heard, but I remember being incredibly impressed. And that doesn't happen to me often because, usually when somebody's dope, I hear about it pretty quick. This seemed like a fully formed artist that I was sort of just discovering by hearing that one song. So I definitely want to check out more Jim Legxacy. Braggadocio abounds throughout. Black British music mostly concerns itself with tales of economic strife, upward mobility, houselessness, romantic yearning, and familial melancholy. Issues of Trust finds Jim Legxacy in ballad mode. With orchestral string flourishes, finger-picked acoustic guitars, and introspective lyrics about his strained relationship with his father. Okay, so yeah. This is the sort of music having the conversations that I like to see or hear in rap music, and I think they sort of expand the boundaries of what this thing can be. Yeah, I fuck with Infinity Knives. I didn't hear the project that came out this year with Infinity Knives and Brian Eno's. I heard the one that came out a couple years ago, and I thought that was super dope. I didn't hear the one that came out this year though. 11, Saba and No ID. Chicago heads right here. Saba is incredibly impressive to me. Out of that, Save Money generation of Chicago acts, him and No Name were certainly my favorites. And I think Saba's just really become a fully formed, super dope artist. The moves are dope. I thought this album was awesome. I remember saving quite a few songs from it when we heard it here on the stream. This is it's a great record, and it feels like Chicago. It feels like the South Side to me. And I'm always I always have an appetite for stuff that puts me back in that mindset. Shout out to Saba. Who I have met. We did a couple shows together. Shout out to No ID, who I don't know, but I've been listening to since I was in high school. At number 11. 10, Earl Sweatshirt. Live, laugh, love. As I've stated before, I was uniquely impressed by Earl finding his musicality on this album. And, in the single Tourmaline, you can really hear it. You can really hear how well he can construct a very ear-pleasing and emotionally effective hook. But on an even more granular level, the musicality that he puts into his verses on this album, I found it especially impressive. And not only to mention that he became more vulnerable on it, which is something that I always think makes for a more engaging project. And it's interesting hearing that sort of exploration from somebody whose position is so established. They don't really have to try new things. If he wanted to, he could still be making some other rap songs type music, but he's looking for something else when he don't really have to. So I applauded that as well. He inhabits the technique that made the words of Gil Scott-Heron immortal, weaponizing dire circumstances and transforming them into little splotches of hope. That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it as Gil Scott-Heron-esque, but that's an interesting way to look at it. 9, Lil Simz Lotus. And as I said on the last morning show, because we played one of the songs from this album that was awesome, which is never a surprise that Little Simz is awesome. But this is an album that I completely missed this year and will be one of the top ones on any list that I would make in terms of next week checking out stuff that we didn't get a chance to check out. This is one I'm definitely looking forward to hearing, even if we don't get to hear the whole thing on stream. We got a lot to try to get to next week. Fire Lord Tony says Earl had some heat this year. The new Conway album is good. I like Nas and Premier. I like the second half of Nas and Premier a lot. I didn't like how it started so much. I don't feel as strongly about it as a lot of other people do around the internet. There's people saying it's completely ass. There are people that are saying it's the best thing since sliced American cheese. I really dug where it got to around the midway point, and almost every song from the midway through the end I was really into. As I was saying when we were listening to it, it sounds to me like Premier's, the technical workflow of his beats have changed to some degree, where they're hitting a little different these days, even though a lot of the techniques are the same. Something about the sound of them doesn't seem as present as they used to be. I did a sample flips list last week, and there were a couple of Premier joints on there, and you can hear how differently his chops used to hit. I was noticing with Premier's Premier's songs on the Daylight album and Premier's, obviously the beats on the Nas thing, that there's something that's not quite as present. Even though he's using the same technique. So my thought is, I'm wondering, like, is he making beats all inside the computer now or something? Is he using less outboard machinery? Something seems to sound a little different. And I'd be curious to know what that is. And maybe, like Hex says, sounds too digital. Maybe that's what it is. There's something about the character of them that sounds different than what I'm used to hearing out of a Premier beat. But want to go back and check this Little Simz Lotus. 8, OsamaSon. This is the other Rage joint. This is OsamaSon, and this is the other one that my son he enjoyed this album. He enjoyed this album more than Shay. But OsamaSon is part of a group called Slime Crew, which is OsamaSon, Osanta, OK Mar, 3, TDF, Perk 40. There's a couple other people in it. They're dope. They're dope in a different way than what I usually fuck with. But these are the kids that I feel like are really pushing the sound to some crazy places. This sort of post-Rage, post-Cardi, post-Uzi underground. Some of these beats don't make no sense. They don't make no sense. But I think it's pushing the envelope to where it's going to land somewhere cool. And there's a lot of cool songs that I've heard. Cool in terms of approach, cool in terms of technique. I am usually not in alignment with the subject matter, so that's always. But I'm an old head. I'm a parent. I'm a child of a different time, so like that's always going to be something I'm at odds with a lot of rap music, to be honest, because that's the shit that we've been railing against for decades. But when I'm able to put that to the side and engage with the techniques, I think they are taking the craft to a cool place. And OsamaSon is one of those. Like, he's not my favorite. Matter of fact, he's probably my least favorite because he sounds the most like a young Cardi, and I don't like Cardi. Like, I don't like the baby voice shit. Like, I don't like a lot of people are accused of doing something called mumble that people call mumble rap, but a lot of times these people really are elocuting, but there's just so much there's so much auto tune and everything is drenched in effects, so you can't really hear it because for this generation of rap fans, what is being said is not the draw. It's more about the vibe and how everything sounds together. So the mix does not emphasize what's being said, even if the artist is elocuting. But Cardi really be mumbling. And OsamaSon to me sounds similar to that. And it's sometimes his delivery really is sort of mumbly in a way I don't like. But there are people in his crew that I think are doing dope things. Like I think Osanta's dope. I think 3 is dope. Like they really are rapping. And I'm just more interested in the music that they're making. My son just turned 17. Tam the Meow asked how old. So he been listening to some of these people for years now. Like 3 or 4 years. Number 7 is Armand Hammer Mercy. I love this album so much. I love this album so much. It takes 3 musical forces, Woods Elucid and Alchemist. 3 approaches to music that I already love, right? And there's a real synergy on this project, a real sum greater than the parts, and the parts are already dope. That this album really hit for me in a way that, I enjoyed We Buy Diabetic Test Strips a lot. I enjoyed Haram a lot. And I know Alchemist only did Haram, but that being said, I've loved Arm& Hammer projects before. I've been on Arm& Hammer projects before, but this to me is my favorite one. And I expressed this to Al too. Like, Al is dope, but Al's beats are typically within Al's comfort zone. I think usually we know what to expect with an Alchemist beat. I feel like this project has a soulfulness to it that I didn't expect from Al and didn't expect him to be able to execute on that level because I never heard him do nothing like that before. So this one to me really brings together Alchemist and Arm& Hammer in terms of them finding a common ground musically that I fuck with real deeply. Real deeply. 6, Westside Gunn and Heels Have Eyes 2. Gunn released so many projects this year. I feel like we heard every project that he released this year on stream, and it felt like it was like 4 or 5 of them. Was it 4 or 5? It's a lot of projects. I really enjoyed all of them. None of them, I don't think, if I remember correctly, really jumped out at me as like head and shoulders above the rest. But I did like all of them. But that's sort of the challenge, right? When you drop as much as he dropped this year, you sort of create the environment where a lot of your music becomes indistinguishable from each other, especially because he uses a lot of the same producers for these projects. It's a lot of Derringer, a lot of Conductor Williams, and I fuck with all of it. It's very well suited to him. I think Gunn's writing is incredible. I love that he's incorporating more hooks into his shit and more songwriting. But where I sit now, December 20th or whatever, or 19th, 2025, a year into this run, it's hard for me to remember which song was on what project. And that's sort of the other side of the coin of like releasing so many albums in a year. It just gets really difficult to differentiate. But I enjoyed all of them. 5 is Wrens. I've never heard of Wrens. Y'all heard of Wrens? Y'all know who Wrens are? This is the first time I've ever even seen this name, let alone to be number 5 on a list of rap albums this year. No indie hesitation, unfortunately, the long-awaited Meadowlands follow-up from the Wrens. Pretty damn good jazz rap record. Okay. On half of what you see, the Brooklyn quartet known as Wrens sound like they're wired their entire practice room into a single malfunctioning nervous system. Electronics twitching, drums fainting and lunging, trumpet lines darting between cello scrapes and synth murmurs like they're trying to finish one another's sentences. So it sounds like a very experimental jazz project, which should certainly be worth checking out as well. Probably should end up on our list of things we check out next week. Because that sounds cool. That sounds cool. I wish I'd kept a list of what we want to go back to, but I definitely want to check that out. 4, Backxwash. We fuck with Backxwash around here. We fuck with this album real tough. We heard a song from it the other day. We were doing our live listen of it. Dragon Ballers, thank you for the gifted sub. When we were doing a live listen of it, Backxwash came and joined us here in the chat. I was checking it out with us. You know, I love everything that Backxwash is trying to do. The direction that they're trying to put things in, the pure emotion and the rage to go along with the cerebral sentiments. They do a lot of their own production, which I didn't even know. But it's all incredibly impactful and like real art. It's real fucking art. Like this is everything. This is everything I always wanted to be happening and having a light shown on it. So always happy to see Backxwash get flowers. Conjures everything from the meta existentialism of More Mother shouts of More Mother to the prog rap of Young Fathers and digital intricacies of clipping. And Yeezus levels of damp, brash auto-tune. It is brash, and it's brash in the ways that we love. Shout out to Backxwash forever and ever and ever. 3, McKinley Dixon's Magic Alive. Shout out to McKinley Dixon as well. This is another album. I've heard it talked about a lot this year and never got a chance to check it out. Another one for the list to fuck with next week. I heard my first song from it on Wednesday when we were going through, I think it was James Gunn's list of top 10 alternative rap songs of 2025. It was when I first heard McKinley Dixon songs from this album. I've heard McKinley Dixon songs previously and have known McKinley Dixon was dope. But it was my first taste of actually hearing this album, which I've heard nothing but fantastic things about all year long. So certainly something to peep. Malicious, thank you for 3 months of Submarine. So that's on our list. Number 2. Whoa! Number 2. This Open Mike Eagle guy with this Neighborhood Gods Unlimited album. Number 2 on Paste Magazine's list of top rap albums of 2025. I mean, it's my number 1, but I'm biased. But I don't mind seeing it number 2. I don't mind seeing it number 2 at all. I am quite over the moon about that. Neighborhood Gods Unlimited takes all of those questions about where we and in the technologies mediating us begin and turns them into the album's central metaphor. It's funny, a lot of people think that, but it's not really true. It's a record about being split into pieces. Now, that's true. Selfhood is a broken phone screen, yes. A reflection refracted in dozens of directions. A pile of black glass scattered across the city street. A horde of half-finished demos now lost to the void. Absolutely right. That's not my metaphor, but Open Mike Eagle's own. Impossible to miss on the aptly titled Okay, but I'm the phone screen. Where he grieves the parts of himself, the voice memos, and those the to-be songs that instantaneously evaporated the moment his phone. It wasn't the moment the phone hit the ground. It was the moment where it got ran over. That's really when everything seemed to go to shit. Like if it had just dropped in the street and I was able to go retrieve it before the vehicle smashed it, then it's a whole different moment in time. But the drop plus the crush, it's the drop plus the crush that left me in shambles for about a solid week. In a great, intentionally facetious moment, he compares the incident to the RZA's infamous devastating studio flood. It's like that, but less devastating. The concept threads throughout the entire record. A sample voice at the end of the opening song. Woke up knowing everything. Asked, I saw the man broken, how he put himself together. That wasn't a sample. That was me acting. Contraband and mirror pieces in a leather brown briefcase provide potential answers to that all-important question, but not good ones. Now, that is real. That is very, very real. Those are the answers to the question, and they are not good answers at all. On Contraband, Mike imagines discreetly bargaining with the local dealer to buy back the chopped up slices of himself, making rounds on the street. This is all very, very on point. Bought myself back in plastic bags. Let's call it contraband. Even after scoring that fix, it didn't take long for Mike to find himself feeding once more. In fact, the end of the next song almost broke my nucleus accumbens. Is overtaken by a last-minute coda consisting solely of Mike pressing over and over again. How do I get some more me? How do I get some more me? And that beat, the beat for that interlude, was one of the ones inspired by listening to Mike's album that made me go make beats. That's the week after that, I made that beat that became that interlude that's discussed here. What keeps Neighborhood Gods Unlimited from collapsing under its own conceptual weight, having to shoulder an entire TV series pitch is no joke, is as always the line-by-line genius. That's kind. Of Open Mike Eagle's lyricism, even at his most unobtrusive, his wordplay remains sharp and strange, peppered with left-field pop culture references, shrewd political commentary, and a vulnerability that cuts through the fog. Thank you, Paste Magazine. That's really nice. I know we should do more beat streams, LCN, but I'm officially afraid to do them now. I'm afraid. And the number one album from Paste, Billy Wood's Gollywog, which is a sick fucking album. Sick album. Psychodrama is nothing new to a Brooklynite whose decades-long career is defined by a record steeped in anxious atmospheres, but rarely has that dread sounded so acute. Gollywog's myriad producers, many of whom are previous contributors to Billy Wood's catalog, color grade the MC's murky tableaus. Sometimes they fabricate the entire set. On Star 87, conductor Williams pairs tinny boom bap with quivering violins, errant bass, and the unceasing ring of landlines. They want to know where the bodies is hid, Woods, the narrator reveals eventually, as if it would ever help. Woods opens waterproof mascara with a portrait of weeping mother before shifting subject, but preservation keeps that weeping in the foreground, looping incessantly like a dark splinter lodged in the heart. The crackle of a palpitating digital heartbeat thrums underneath Al Divino's introductory verse on Maquiladoras, until the first gunshot is fired, after which a heartbreaking piano chord punctuates the demarcated timeline. There's bars in this review, too. In lesser hands, Gollywog might read too overwhelming or leaden to be enjoyable. In the same vein as 2023's Maps, Woods makes plenty of room for crucial doses of levity. Modern existential nightmares receive an absurdity apropos to their context. I mean, it's a fucking sick album. It's a great album. And as I said before, I was really happy he worked with a bunch of different producers. It's nice to see him be able to stretch his lyricism and song construction out over a bunch of different type of palettes. Pardon me. I know he typically doesn't prefer to work that way, but I'm glad he did. I felt like this is like the most well-rounded Woods project, but that's because it's what he was trying to do rather than, I feel like a lot of his albums are like, individual exhibits in a museum. Him and Preservation doing an exhibit. Him or Kenny Siegel doing an exhibit. It's sort of what it feels like. Sounds like walking around in the hallways like a curated art experience, where this just felt like a showcase of a lot of the different sorts of approaches that Woods can take in song making. And I really appreciated it a lot. That is Paste Magazine's top 25 rap album list of 2025. Like and subscribe, homie, friend. It's free. Stop playing.